You've got an image and you've got Photoshop, but you've got no idea how to separate that image from the background in Photoshop. Well, I've got you covered.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hi and welcome to DIY Film with Merle Becker, the channel where I help you make better videos. Stick around to the end of the video where I will offer a bonus filmmaking tip. Okay, so here's where you're at. You have a logo or maybe some other image that may look something like this and it's attached to a background. And you want to cut it out so you can put it over something else, like this. And you have no idea how to do it. There are a few programs that can achieve this, but one of the most common and robust programs is Adobe Photoshop. Photoshop was invented in 1987 by two brothers, Thomas and John Knoll, and it's still an industry standard today. So let's take a second to talk about why Photoshop rocks. Photoshop is great because it's part of a powerful group of editing and graphics programs offered in the Adobe Creative Cloud. Files created in Photoshop work seamlessly with other programs in Adobe Cloud like Premiere and After Effects, and you can use Photoshop files in both print and video. Lastly, Photoshop isn't going away anytime soon, so if you're going to learn one program, let it be Photoshop. Okay, let's dive in. So first you want to start out with a high-resolution version of your logo or your image. That enables you to do a clean cutout. Also, depending on your file, there's several ways to accomplish a cutout in Photoshop. The two ways I'm going to go through here are just what I prefer. Before we start, let's create a folder on your desktop and call it Logo to stay organized and avoid confusion. Place the logo you want to manipulate in that folder. Now let's open Photoshop. One of the first things you're going to need to do is create a new file. At this point, you need to think about where your final product is going to end up. Are you going to use it in a video, or maybe a poster, or a card, or print? For purposes of this video, let's assume it's going to end up in a video. And we'll create something that can be used in Avid, or Premiere, or maybe even iMovie. So click Create New. Photoshop has several templates to choose from. And since we're going to be putting this file in a video, let's choose from the Film and Video menu. And we'll select HD TV 1080p. This simply means it has a frame size of 1920 by 1080 pixels, and in this case, it has 72 dots per inch. So double-click on HDTV 1080p and save your new file with the name Logo Final to your logo folder on your desktop so you can find it easily when we're done. Understanding the process of separating an image from the background in Photoshop involves a very basic understanding of the Photoshop workspace and how it handles images. Some of you may have used Photoshop before, and some of you may be opening it for the first time. Either way, this brief run-through of the Photoshop layout will help you with this exercise. So here's your new file in the main panel here. To the left, you have a tool palette with an array of tools you can use. In this tutorial, we'll be using the lasso tool here and also the magic wand. As you get more comfortable with Photoshop, I encourage you to play with some of these other tools though. You can do everything from cloning to adding text to blending and so on. And the best way to learn a program is to get in there and start playing. The next panel you need to understand is the Layers panel. In fact, you can close all the other ones if you have them open and just keep the Layers one and the Tools one open. Every Photoshop file has a number of layers in it. Sometimes you'll have text on a layer, sometimes you'll have a part of an image on another layer. It's just an easy way of organizing and modifying an image step by step by adjusting only selected parts of it. Okay, so those are the two basic parts of the workspace we'll focus on for this exercise. So now we'll need to open your original logo so we can work with it. Go up to File, Open, and select your logo from your logo folder. So the first thing I usually do is I duplicate my logo layer so that if I need to start over for any reason, I have the untouched version at the bottom. You can do that by dragging it down to the little plus down here. Then let's turn off the layer visibility by toggling the little eyeball here, and then we'll select our logo layer. You can tell it's selected because it's light gray. Also, let's rename your logo layer and call it Logo. It's always a good idea to get in the habit of labeling your layers so stuff is easy to find. So first, I'm going to make a rough cutout of my logo so that I can use the magic wand. I have all these extra circles around here, and if I use the magic wand right now, it's going to select the little circles as well. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'll select the lasso tool and just draw a line around the image. Make sure you connect the endpoint so that it forms a contained shape. Now, if I were to cut it out right now, it would cut out the logo and not what's around it. And since we want to cut out what's around the logo and not the logo itself, let's select the inverse by going up to Select and Inverse. Now cut out the logo by going to Edit and Cut. Now we have a rough cutout we can work with. I should mention it's always a good idea to get used to using keyboard shortcuts when you're working in Photoshop. For example, cut would be Command X in a Mac or Control X in a PC. And if you forget this, they're always listed in the menus. Okay, so if your logo is round or any simple shape with a solid background behind it, you can simply use the Magic Wand tool to select it and cut out the rest. If your logo has colors with gradients or anything else that makes the Magic Wand tool hard to use, we'll use another method, which we'll go through in a minute. In this case, we're going to use the Magic Wand. Let's make sure the Magic Wand has a tolerance that will get nice and close to the image so we can cut it out cleanly. A lower tolerance value will select less pixels by targeting a smaller range of colors. A higher value will select more pixels because it's targeting a broader range of colors. In this case, we'll select a higher value because my image just has gray and black. Now, just click next to your logo to select what's around it. Once we have that area selected, you can simply go to Edit and Cut, or Command X on a Mac, or Control X on a PC. Now that you've got a cutout logo, you can resize in your video editing program or another Photoshop document if you choose. So now I like to just copy the logo layer to that new document that we made at the start that was HD 1080p, which is the size of my video frame. You don't have to do this, but I like to keep it the same size for consistency. To do this, I select my logo layer, selecting the whole thing by hitting Control or Command A, click on your Logo Final document, and then Control or Command V to paste it in there. Now you can see my logo is bigger than the document here, so to resize it, you go up to Edit, Transform, Scale, and then you drag the corner to resize it to the size you'd like. And then hit Enter. And then, of course, turn off the eyeball on the background layer again. Now all you need to do is save your files. When it comes to saving files for video, you have a few choices. Most editing programs accept a wide variety of formats, but the two most common are JPEGs and PNGs. PNGs are generally higher quality than JPEGs, but they're a little slower to load if you're including the image on a website. So to preserve the best quality, and since this is for a video, let's choose PNG. So we'll go to File, Export, and Quick Export as PNG. Select your logo folder, and voila! You have a logo with an alpha channel, or a channel that will let whatever is behind it pass through. Some of you might not have a simple shape for your logo, or you're working on something like a photo which has hair, which doesn't work very well with the Magic Wand. So in this case, we'll use a different technique. So if you're working on a photo or a more detailed image that you can't use the Magic Wand on, you're going to be repeating the first part of this tutorial, duplicating the layer, turning off the eyeball on the bottom layer, etc. In this photo example, we want to cut out the couple and put them on a different background. But if you use the Magic Wand at 100, you can see that it selects everything. And if you do it at 1, that's not going to cut it either. Even at 50, you're not able to just select this arm here. So instead of using the Magic Wand, in this case you're going to use the lasso tool. The keyboard shortcut for this is L. Make sure you select the polygonal lasso tool. That's the one with the straight lines. If you hold down your cursor, you can see all your options. Then we're going to press Z on the keyboard to zoom in and click around your image to select the part you want to cut out. If you need to move your image around, just hold down the space bar. If you make a mistake, hold down Shift to add to it, or you can press Alt to subtract from it. You can also smooth out your selection by going to Select, Modify, and Smooth, or Contract if you need to. Now you're ready to cut out and export like we did with the other logo. So Command X on a Mac or Control X on a PC to cut it out. And now you can bring them into an editing program, and voila, Grandma is by the pool. All right, this should put you in a good place. Let's do the tip. If you're just starting out with Photoshop or any graphics or editing program for that matter, you should always be in the habit of backing up your work. So in the case of Photoshop, I would just upload a copy of my file to my server so I have a backup. Or you could make a copy on an external drive. Or if you don't have a drive or a server, email a copy to yourself. Every single year in one of my Photoshop or editing classes, I have at least one student who doesn't listen to my backup advice and they drop their hard drive or they leave their file on the college computers, which get wiped periodically, and poof, it's gone and they have no backup. Don't let that person be you. If you start backing up at the end of every session now, it'll become second nature. And when your external drive inevitably falls into the toilet, you won't be caught up you-know-what's creek. If you followed along and you want to share your final project, stick a link in the comments so we can see your masterpiece. And as always, if you found any of this helpful, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe down below so you know when the next one is out, and I will catch you next time.